Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and Happy New Year. In this video, filmed on New Year's Day, I'm going to talk about my plans for the tropical garden in 2025 and take a look at how it's looking at the minute. So let's get straight into it.
Great northern exotic, botanist vibes hypnotic. Cacti in the
Yeah, well, Happy New Year to everyone out there, and as I said, I'm filming this on January the 1st. And it's the first bit of blue sky we've had in a while, so I thought I'd get out in the garden and have a quick look at what's going on and think about the plans for this coming year. Not a lot to do physically in the garden, so I think January is a good time to start planning, thinking about seed lists and design ideas. But before we do, I'll kind of give a quick update on what's going on in the garden. It's been a very wet winter. A really wet and soggy November and December, and I mean, you can see the state of the lawn at the minute is totally waterlogged. My son likes the lawn for football, and it is fully saturated at the minute, so that's out of bounds for me. But I think you can see definitely sort of the winter structure holding up across the garden. Like the trackies are doing well, Cordylines are looking fine. Interesting that this cordyline there and this one were at the same size at one point, but this one, I suppose with a little bit more shelter under the eucalyptus trees, is actually doing a lot better, flowered this year. The trunk is a lot thicker, but yeah, you know, the Fatsias and the things that are always doing well look really nice. Coming round, you can see I did a video a while ago on overwintering the Musajoo, so I'll just be careful on this deck because it is slippy. So they're all wrapped up, feeling nice and solid in there, whereas this one, this is where I cut it off, I think probably November, maybe October. So I cut it there because it's grown since then, so it's still pushing things out. It seems pretty, you know, that's gone, but it's pretty solid, and we've had a -5. It feels, you know, the outer layer is mushy, but the solid inside, and it is getting a little bit of shelter, I suppose. No overhead shelter, of course, but it is getting shelter next to the rest of it. So yeah, it's looking good there for now. The cannas have all died back. I don't do anything with these, I just leave them in the ground. I've not had them flower yet, but they do grow. That's the height I've had, so yeah, they'll bounce back in spring, no doubt. The passion flower is doing fine. It was flowering until quite recently, actually. You can see there's a spent flower on there, and they're pretty hardy actually for me. I don't know if anyone else has got different experience than me, but for me they stay fully foliated. You can see there, it travels along there, gets a lot of sun actually on that corner, but they stay foliated for yeah, all winter, and then I kind of cut them back. It's easier to tell, like in March time, how much is left of the previous year's growth. Just get a better angle on that. You know, I forgot what it's called now on top of my head. Verbena, that's it. So the Verbena, I've cut most of them back, but I have got seed heads everywhere. But a bit of a weed now for me, Verbena, but I can always dig them up and give them to friends. All the Rudbeckias died back, and there's only a few seed heads left. So these have all, I don't know if birds eat the Rudbeckia seeds, but they do self-seed. And then these are all the Echinacea. Most of the seeds have gone. Again, I don't know if it's birds or wind or what, but yeah, most of them have gone. Moving round here, you can see that's my smaller clump of banana there. That is, I mean, it's raised up off the ground a little bit, so it's definitely pushing up new growth under there, but I'll leave that until, I don't know, March, April time. There's my Paulownia Tomentosa. This is this year's growth. Didn't get very tall at all this year. And I'm not going to do anything. Someone said to me to leave it a few years and let it get a bit of height, but I think I'll probably chop this down, kind of make it more into a smaller shrub, this bamboo, because it's sort of blocking out light and I want to get a bit more light there. Miscanthus Giganteus is fully died off now, but I think it looks good. I kind of like the light coming through that. Look at that. Talk about winter structure. This is a perfect plant for winter structure. It looks way better than the Arundodanax. I always say this in my videos, but for me the Arundodanax is, I guess it's a staple of the tropical garden, but it's not an attractive looking plant in my opinion, compared to the Miscanthus grasses. Are much nicer. I mean, yeah, nice light coming through the trachy leaves there. I mean, these are bulletproof, aren't they? I know people like to collect different species of Trachycarpus, but for me, just buying a couple of £20 tiny specimens and just putting the years of weight, and they'll do well, because I've got the other two down here. And I do think planting the Trachycarpus smaller actually does produce healthier plants as well, because they do seem to be put on a lot taller, I don't know, are they called petioles? Someone can correct me in the comments, but you know, they do pretty well. I've got some Cardoon surviving. This Cardoon's collapsed there. Now I tried to harvest the seeds last year, but I didn't do a very good job of it. So I'm just letting birds help themselves there. But that one's those seed heads are surviving. There's the Gunnera under there, covered in mostly in banana leaves this year. Gunnera, I've got to rethink the Gunnera. That's a major thing for me to think about. Is it didn't look great last year because I couldn't maintain the watering, and it's getting a little bit too big for the path actually. So I don't know whether to build a structure to keep it moving that way towards the fence. I've got to think about that. I am going to cut back some of this Fatsia here, maybe take this whole stem out here, and kind of have the Fatsia kind of push back towards the fence a little bit, which will give me more room for my Euphorbia mellifera, because it's getting a bit crowded out at the minute, and I want it to fill this space. I think it'll look good there, but the mellifera is doing pretty well. It's sort of shaded a little bit. I know these are sort of hardy or half hardy for most people, the Euphorbia mellifera, but mine seems to be doing well. But I'd like to make more of a statement here and cut back on the bamboos and the Fatsias. Everything's wrapped up in the greenhouse. I'm not really going to go in the greenhouse for this one, but yeah, it's all packed away and not much to do in there really with the cacti. But if I move around here, see, I've got my pond down there, little barrel pond. It's mostly covered, and then there you can see my Miscanthus lutariparius, or however you want to say it, with the nice purple stems coming through, and it is spreading in that barrel. This was planted last year, so this is its first winter, and it's obviously caught the wind above the fence line, snapped off, but it should do pretty well next year. And we'll move round back into the sun. The Euphorbia Wulfenii is looking really good at this time of year, always does. It's probably the nicest looking plant from October until probably April or May. Move around here and you can see the baby's tears of the mind your own business. He's doing well. It's sort of in more exposed areas it does die back in winter, but under here, under the shelter of the Fatsia, it seems to be doing pretty well. And then you can see there my Tetrapanax. So this one has been battered by the football a few times, but interesting to see that this leaf is still surviving. I don't know how the growth point's looking there, whereas that one seems to have I don't know if it's yeah, they both seem pretty solid, but you can never tell because it's not fully woody, this part. Only the lower section is fully woody, but we'll see if it doesn't survive through winter. I've got other Tetrapanax plants that I can put in to replace it, or it should sprout pups somewhere in this bed. If I move over here, take a look at my desert bed, the tarp's holding up well. I mean, it is, you'll see it is ripping in places, so a bit of a design flaw this year there, but not going to affect it too much. Like I said, we've had a lot of storms and it's holding up pretty well with a slope, and it's fastened to the fence. So if I just get down there under the tarp, you can see I've got my Opuntia Ficus indica just wrapped in a couple of extra layers of fleece for extra protection, but everything else seems to be doing fine. Everything's been left in there. We've had -5 a couple of nights, and it looks as good as it did in summer. If I zoom in there on the washi, I've just tied up the leaves and tried to protect the crown a little bit, because it did spear pull last year for me without doing that, so perhaps that will have a benefit. You see there the Aloe Striatula was flowering at the end of last year, and it's died off now, but it's sprouting from the base down there. All the agaves and opuntias are looking fine. And then I've got this one here exposed. So this is the Opuntia shearii that isn't under shelter. The new pad that was growing last year has fallen off, but the previous pad looks okay. Now I'm wondering whether having it the first pad flat to the ground and pooling water will affect it or not, but we'll have to wait and see. It's protected by that jasmine overhead, but we'll have to wait and see. And that's it for my garden on the 1st of January. Like I said, Happy New Year. I'll be doing more updates in the coming weeks and months. Thanks to everyone for subscribing, if you have already, and if you haven't, do consider it. And if you give this video a thumbs up, it will help the algorithm. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.